Well, severe weather starts to ramp up, at least in some of the areas as we go through March. We don't quite see it a lot in March, as we would say in April or even May, but still an opportunity exists because of the changing air masses that we start seeing more of. And this is going to be one of them that we're going to see an opportunity as moisture surges northward ahead of a system that will develop. So Friday morning, really Friday morning, and then another round Friday evening is when the severe threat is. The morning is a little bit less. Could be a hail threat as the warm front pushes up through the area. The afternoon, evening time frame is where that boundary sits up, that warm front followed by the cold front. That'll come through. Most of this is south of I-90. We can't rule out the rising in rivers, especially in areas that still have a snow cover, because this does carry a lot of moisture, and rainfall totals could approach 2 inches in some areas depending on things play out. So it's a wet system definitely, and does have a first good case really of thunderstorms go across the area. So that's why we got the alert days in for that time being. Really, if you look overall, the big picture is this is much more enhanced risk or likely as you go further south, with tornadoes, definitely even strong ones possible with this outbreak that'll go on towards the Central Plains, stretches up towards our area, becomes probable, and then maybe just basically a possible as you go further north. So that's the risk we're looking like right now. Due to the time of the year, hail is pretty easy to get, so freezing levels are fairly low. Tornado threat still low, there's still an opportunity, and of course damaging winds are too. As you look at the threats going out a little bit closer by county, you can see really the southern areas, that's where the risk is more likely that you could see probable seeing some severe threat. Once again, morning and evening. As you go further north, it gets less. As you go further north to Eau Claire and Ladysmith, more just general thunder. Everyone's going to see some thunder, but unlikely to see much of a severe risk. But don't forget, you could see some marginal hail in any of these thunderstorms all the way to Eau Claire. Now, I've outlined two areas, green and blue. The one in green is where I think the greatest runoff risk is due to the snow on the ground and the combination of the two, frozen ground. So that could be a risk for some rises in rivers and small creeks. Not expecting major flooding, but definitely low-lying areas to keep an eye on. And then up further north of that blue area, that's where we could see a changeover from rain to snow at some point late Friday night or early Saturday morning. Not expecting accumulation, but you could see some few flakes flying as the colder air pushes in. So that's what it's looking like Friday and Friday night. We'll see if this changes. Once again, the warm front pushes further north. Our severe risk could get a little bit higher, but for right now, I think it's going to stay just along I-90 or south, and that's why that's where the risk is. Now, rainfall, everyone's going to get a lot of rainfall. Some areas could be pushing 1.5 to 2 inches. Just depends on where these thunderstorms train over the same area. So that is a bigger threat, once again, for some runoff. And our ground is somewhat still frozen, although it's beginning to thaw a little bit. This will cause some runoff. So low-lying areas that really pond a lot in the springtime, those are things to keep an eye on as we go throughout the forecast. Temperatures Friday, big spread depending on where that warm front sets up. We could be near 70 as you get closer to Prairie du Chien. Ladysmith, you may be struggling to hit 50. So a big spread, and this could change once again if you're in between. So a little bit of low confidence. We got 58 for La Crosse, but it could pop into the 60s if that warm front pushes a little bit further north. So enjoy those temps. If you kind of time it out, big picture here, we can kind of see the storms coming quickly right there in the morning. We'll have a little bit of rain following that. And then towards the evening hour, it will be a break until we get probably about 6 or 7. We'll start seeing activity pop up right there. I got the 3D look there, so it's higher up as the stronger thunderstorms will come through about 9 to 10. And then by the time we get to midnight, it's going to turn more into light rain or light showers as things begin to wind down. Temperatures tonight, fairly good. Otherwise, the weekend, besides Saturday, a little cool down is shaping up to be pretty good. As Sunday, as we flip around, get back in the 60s. And Monday, yes, we could break 70. Unfortunately, winter's going to come roaring back as we get to Wednesday, Tuesday night, in fact, too, where some areas could see some accumulating snow going into Wednesday. And Wednesday, definitely with that north wind blowing, it's going to feel more like February a little bit than March. So once again, spring until Wednesday, we'll be back to winter after that.
All right. March is always a fun month.
Oh, it's back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.